Hello, I'm a newlywed who has been married for about a year now. I'm working as a kindergarten teacher. Where I live is literally a village on one of the islands in Puerto Rico. You have to go in and out by boat, and it's not well known because it's not a tourist place. I'm a kindergarten teacher, but it's mere a title. In an old dilapidated building, I barely teach just the alphabet and numbers to a small group of preschool children. A small pay is given by the village head. After I teach, the children move on to the village elementary school, and most of the parents leave for the big island for their children's future when they become middle and high school age. As always, parents believe that educating their children is their highest priority. My husband commutes to work on the main island by boat at dawn and returns to the island the same way after work. In fact, if one thinks it's uncomfortable, it's an uncomfortable life. You have to get up early, and if you leave work late, no boat is available, so you have to stay overnight there. So, we hear often why a young couple like us lives here and does not work in the city to earn more money. We do have plans to move to the city. However, my father-in-law still lives here, so we probably will leave here after he passes away. My husband was born in this island village. His father is also a native here. My father-in-law runs a small fish market. He interacts with the fishing boaters, doing business with them by helping one another. When he went to college, he left this place. Then he returned just before he graduated because his mother had passed away. He inherited the fish market from his father. Thanks to him, his younger brothers left the fish market to him and went to the mainland with peace of mind. Frankly, my father-in-law could also sell the fish market and move to the main island at any time. However, he's very attached to his family's legacy, that he has no such desire. He said that he wanted to keep the fish market as long as he could because it helped to provide the staples for his family, including providing the means to educate him and his younger brothers. My father-in-law married his girlfriend right after he graduated and started to run the market. His wife at first tried to get adjusted to her new life. However, for a city college girl to get used to a small island life running a fish market was not that easy. Fortunately, they had a good relationship, and after giving birth to my husband, she continued her life on the island. But eventually, she got a divorce when my husband was 5 years old, for she couldn't endure anymore. Upon divorce, she took my husband with her to the big island. However, both of them did their best to care for my husband as parents, and even after the divorce, they got along well because they didn't part in a bad way. My father-in-law went to see my husband on the big island every weekend, and the whole family spent time together. So, my husband says that he didn't feel like he grew up in a divorced family because his parents seemed to be a weekend couple. My husband lived with his mom up until he was in the 8th grade, but his mother passed away in a sudden car accident, so he lived with his maternal grandparents for a while before he came back to the small island to live with his dad. His father eventually accepted his son at his insistence, but at first, his dad objected to his son's returning to the island. Of course, the educational opportunities were better on the big island. Starting from then, my husband's island life began. He would get up early in the morning to get on the boat to go to school on the big island and return to the small island. It's the same as now. The village people knew the family situation of my husband and his father, so everyone pitched in to help. The village fishing boat took my husband back and forth every day during his school years. When my husband had to stay late in high school, The fishermen took turns to pick him up. My husband moved to the Big Island when he entered college. His father told him way before his son entered college, "I will sell the fish market before I die, so don't expect to carry on this work. You should do what you want to do." Thus, my husband had no pressure to continue his family business and could choose his major freely. Except for the fact that his mother passed away early, my husband was raised in a loving family. My life was somewhat different. I did not grow up in a happy family. Of course, there was a similar side because I was also raised by a single parent. In my case, I did not have a father. I was born to an ordinary family as the eldest daughter. We were not affluent, but we weren't poor either. I had a younger sister, and we quarreled at times, but we generally got along well. We grew up being loved by our parents. One day, my dad said that he was going on a trip with his friends. My father seemed to look forward to the trip, and his eyes twinkled when he said, "Remember James? He bought a yacht." As soon as he bought it, he called to say that he would give a ride to his friends first and called. He said he would invite the whole family next time, so you can look forward to it. He seemed excited like a kid. Our ears perked up at the word yacht. My mom seemed to be envious, saying how much money has his friend earned to afford a yacht. She wished Dad a safe trip. Dad said he would call when he got there and left early in the morning all packed. However, he did not call even at night and did not come back the next day. 2 days passed like that, and at first we thought that the trip was getting longer than expected. But on the third day, when Mom did not receive any calls, she started to worry. After 3 days, finally, a phone call came. It was from the wife of my dad's friend. She asked in a trembling voice, "Didn't Amy's dad come back too?" It turned out that my father and all 6 of his friends who had gone on the trip had lost contact. My mom, along with the others, went to the police station to report their disappearance. The yacht owner's wife told the police where they were going, so the police started a joint investigation with the local police. In the meantime, my mom visited the police station almost every day to check on any updated news, and they found my dad 2 weeks later. To be more accurate, the police found out his whereabouts. Every one of us prayed desperately, but the news that came back was that they found a horribly crushed yacht. 6 bodies were found near the beach, and all of them were Dad's friends. A few weeks later, the funerals of the 6 found dead were held. However, the body of the last remaining person, my father, was never found. Thus, we could not have a funeral for him. My mother cried out that the bodies of others were found, but why they couldn't find the body of our dad, and urged the police to find the body so that we could bury him. The police explained, "Your husband could have been outside of the yacht separately, or when the yacht crashed, he could have been swept in the waves. Whenever there's an accident due to the weather or inexperience in handling the yacht, sometimes the body is never recovered." Despite the police explanation, our mom kept begging them to find our dad's body. Although our paternal grandfather also pleaded, our dad's body was never found despite the continued search. Our mom couldn't give up and searched for him at the site of the accident, but eventually she collapsed from exhaustion. Our grandfather dissuaded our mother to stop searching, saying that continuing the search might even kill her. He told her to hold the funeral for our dad. At first, our mom refused, but when our grandfather told her to consider us, finally she gave in. So, we had our dad's funeral without his body. My happy family turned into an unhappy one in an instant, due to my father's death. After my father passed away, our standard of living changed a lot compared to before because our mother had to raise me and my sister alone. It wasn't easy for her to raise 2 daughters as a single mother. My mom had to earn more money than before since my dad's income was gone, so she had to work overtime into the evenings. My sister and I were alone in the house after school. That was okay, but what was hard was bearing the stares from the neighborhoods. When people heard that only my father's body wasn't found, they began being suspicious of our family and started to whisper, "He's alive, but aren't they faking it to get the insurance money?" Only my father's body was not found. We were heartbroken from losing our dad overnight. Yet, it was hard when we had to hear the people's thoughtless insinuations and gossips. However, we did not move. We did not have the money, first of all, but more because it would be acknowledging their suspicion. All I could do was study hard. The least I could do was to become successful to help our mom. Fortunately, my efforts paid off, and I got high grades and maintained the top ranking in class throughout middle and high school. My homeroom teacher also said that I would have no problem entering any top university. To be honest, my goal was not getting into a good university, but to get a good job and make a lot of money. Therefore, I was about to give up college, but my mom insisted, "Even if I have to get a loan, you must go to college." My mom thought differently, that she must send her kids to college so that she could face dad when she sees him after she dies. Thus, I had no choice but to go on to college, and I was fortunate to get a full scholarship. So, my going to college did not put a great burden on our household. While going to college, I never even went on any dates to study hard, with a set goal of finding a well-paying job. Thanks to that, I never missed a scholarship. However, it wasn't always easy for me to study and do well. Whenever I wavered, I would look at my mom and my younger sister to pull me up again from my slump. Then, during my sophomore year in college, I went on a group trip together with my classmates, organized by the club associations for just once. I had planned on doing my assignments, so I even packed my books. And there, I met my current husband. My husband, along with his classmates, were staying at the same condominium where we were staying. My husband also was a quiet person who did not enjoy being rowdy, so he noticed me, who was quietly reading a book in a corner, and spoke to me first. We started to have a conversation and ended up exchanging each other's contact information. After that, we talked on the phone and exchanged text messages, which led to dating naturally. My friends teased me because they were surprised about my having a boyfriend, as I had been so quiet and inactive on that front. After graduating from college, I immediately found a job and started working. Thanks to my work, I could give my mom pocket money and help pay for my sister's college tuition. My husband also proposed to me. Frankly, I was very worried about financial problems, but my husband, who was aware of my situation, told me not to worry. He said that we could have a small wedding since he didn't have much money either, and his dad wasn't a picky person. My husband said that we could start our marriage with just a pair of spoons, practically. However, how could I do that? Nevertheless, after meeting his father, all my worries over wedding expenses disappeared, and we were able to get married. It was my first time going to a village on a small island. When we got off the boat, his father was waiting for us at the pier. He had a really friendly face. When I met him, he reminded me of my deceased father. My father-in-law held my hands tight and gladly welcomed me for coming so far. He treated me so warm from the beginning. How did a city girl fall for my son? I'm so happy that such a pretty girl will become my daughter-in-law. You don't need to prepare anything, so just get married and live happily ever after for just you two. That's all. I was so nervous at first, but with his warm and sincere words, I was able to put my mind at ease. I stayed on the island for about a week, and I became very close to my father-in-law. Then, on the day of my departure, I was about to get on the boats to return to the big island. My future father-in-law stopped us. He said that we had to stop by one place before we left. It's like a superstition, but I'd like you to stop by one place with me anyway. I was curious, and I followed them. It was a small vacant lot located in the back corner of the village on the island. It was a sparsely populated place. I saw a wooden plank stuck upright on the ground. My husband stopped in front of the plank and started to pray, wishing for our happy and prosperous life. He made me smile because he looked so cute praying for us. So I asked my husband, "Is this your village's keeper of good fortune or something?" Then instantly I froze. It was because of a photo hanging on the wooden plank. It was an old faded photo with torn corners, but I could recognize it at once. It was a photo of my family. It was a photo of all of us taken before my dad passed away when I was little. I was so shocked to see that photo that my knees gave in and I toppled to the ground. I cried and asked where this picture came from. Then my husband asked me why. "This is our family picture. This is my dead father." My father-in-law and my husband were stunned by what I said. My husband helped me sit as I was helpless, trembling, and caressed my back to calm me down. Then my father-in-law took a big breath and told me the story. 10 years ago, there was havoc in the village because a corpse was found on the beach, pushed along by the waves. People said it was ominous and said they should burn the body or get rid of it. If they reported it to the police, it was obvious that the whole villagers would have to give up their time from work to be called to the big island for the police investigation. They decided to report to the police if they could identify the person. However, when they examined the corpse, there was nothing on it to identify who he was. The only thing they found was a photo from his wallet, which seemed to be his family. My father-in-law thought he didn't commit suicide. He suggested giving him a proper burial so that there won't be any regrets. However, the villagers didn't want to have a funeral for a stranger, so my father-in-law ended up burying my dad's body on his property by himself and put up a plank like a gravestone. Then he nailed the photo on the plank. Since then, whenever there were important things happening in this family, he would come by the grave to ask for his help and prayed. Thus, he was stopping by it to report that he was getting a daughter-in-law. To find out that we were fated like this shocked him. After hearing this story, I couldn't stop crying. I held onto the plank, hugging it for a long while, and sobbed. If other people who didn't know the story and saw me this way, they would probably think that I was a crazy person. However, that didn't matter because I had finally found my father. "Father, thank you so much. Thanks to you, I was able to find my dad. If you didn't give a burial, our family would have lived with guilty feelings for not finding my dad's body. You have made our wishes come true. Thank you." My father-in-law hugged me tightly. "I think it was your dad who called you to come here. I'm sure that he wanted to make two of you meet and to send me a pretty and kind daughter-in-law. So, now let all your pains heal and live happily together from now on." I think what my father-in-law said was true. How else could this be explained? I came straight home to tell my mom and my younger sister about this news. When my mom heard it from me, she was so shocked that she fainted. When her consciousness returned, she immediately wanted to go to the island to my dad's grave. I told her to wait so that we could all go together over the weekend. When the weekend came, we all went together to visit the island to see our dad. Led by my husband, when we arrived at our dad's grave, my mom fell in front of it and sobbed. My younger sister hugged my mom and she burst into tears too. After crying for a long time, our mom went to see my future father-in-law and knelt in front of him to give our thanks for his kind caring for our dad. My future father-in-law lifted my mom to sit and said, "Please, I have done nothing special. I just did as any person in the right mind should do in such circumstances. So, you don't need to thank me. Look, thanks to your husband, I was able to get a pretty daughter-in-law." My future father-in-law comforted our mom, and he also gave her a gift. It was the old wallet that belonged to my dad. I didn't think I should throw this away, so I kept it safe in the drawers. My mom held the wallet to her chest and cried for a long time. She never showed in front of us how much she missed Dad all this time. When I thought about that, I couldn't ask her to leave to go back home. It seemed that my future father-in-law read my mind and let us stay in one of the empty rooms and told us to stay as long as we want and leave when we become calmer emotionally. Thanks to his hospitality, Mom stayed on the island for a week. She would go to her father's grave at all hours and would talk to him, talking about all the things she held in her chest, and would laugh and cry and stay a long time before she would come back to the house. It was her way of loosening her hardened heart from all the suffering in the past. Soon after, we got married as planned. I continued to go to work at a company that was located nearby where I used to live for a few months. Then, on the 4th month, I received a call from the island that my father-in-law collapsed from his high blood pressure. I contemplated for a while and suggested to my husband, "Let's go and live next to your dad on the island." It seemed that my husband was happy that I suggested. "I'm grateful for the suggestion, but would it be okay with you?" "If it is for your father, I'm fine. Besides, I also want to be next to my dad." That's how we moved to the island. Of course, my father-in-law strongly protested that we didn't have to do that. "Father, it's not just because of you. I also want to live next to my father." Then, my father-in-law said nothing. In the beginning, I used to commute to my work together with my husband from the island to the big island. However, one day, the village head told me that when the parents go to work, only the children are left. It's dangerous unless there's a kindergarten on the island. So, as the newlywed, I wonder if you could take care of the kids. It's not much, but we will pay you. What do you think? When I thought about it, it wasn't a bad idea. It wasn't hard work because I simply play games with the children and teach the alphabet until the parents come to take them after work. So I told him that I would do it. That was how I became permanently settled on the island after resigning from my company. The children also liked learning and playing games together, rather than just playing on their own. I also felt proud of my work. Neighbors view us strange to see us living on the island voluntarily, while others go out to the big island. It's understandable, but now I'm the happiest that I had ever been to live a life like this way. Many things are inconvenient, but my mind is peaceful. After our father passed away, I was deeply hurt from being made to feel guilty unfairly. However, now that I have come here to live, the pain that I felt is no longer there and is insignificant. Moreover, my father-in-law treats me lovingly, like my own father, which makes me feel as if I'm living with him. So I'm trying to enjoy this happiness with my family a little bit longer right now. As the saying goes, that happiness comes after trials and tribulations, I want to share this happiness with my family that was given to us by my father's fated ties to here. Thank you for listening to my story so far. I hope your home is full of happiness too. Please share for me and write your comments of wisdom in the comment section. Pressing like and subscription is a big help to me. Have a nice day.